Well, hello, this is Pamela Bird, your boundaries coach, and let's talk boundaries, shall we? One of the things that you probably weren't aware of that your relationships involve boundaries. So today I want to help you to think about 5 different things to consider as you evaluate the relationships in your life. Yes, it is Valentine's Day. It's a great time to really hone in on your relationships, especially the romantic ones. But I want to give you an opportunity because I think this is an ideal time. If you're looking at relationships, to consider 5 different areas that to determine whether your relationships are healthy or unhealthy. So let's get started. There are 5 things to consider when it comes to knowing whether your relationships are healthy or unhealthy. When I'm done with this podcast towards the end, I'm going to give you an opportunity to get access to an e-course I created that allows you to work through the questions, the 5 key questions you want to ask yourself for things to consider when it comes to evaluating the relationships in your life. So, there's things to consider, but why? Why do we need to consider it at this point? Because a lot of times the relationships we hold on to have either run their course, there's maybe in a different season, and we continue to hold on to them. It's like we're in the summertime and we're still wishing for snow, right? What we're doing is trying to hold on something that's not meant for that time, for that season. So think about the relationships that you have. It could be friendships, it could be coworker relationships, it could be someone in your family, it could be a sibling, it could be a friend of a friend, whatever it may be. A lot of times we may hold on to relationships that aren't necessarily healthy for us. So, in order for a relationship to be healthy, that relationship has to be one that's nurturing. It has to be one that's going to uplift you, that's going to encourage you, inspire you, and even challenge you to do the things that are best for you, the things that you may not even realize that you're good at or you can do, or you may be afraid to do it. That relationship is one that's going to push you and help you to grow in that area. That's a healthy relationship. Unhealthy relationships are those that hinder you from being the best person that you can be and starts to maybe even sabotage the things that you really want to do. They hinder you because those relationships could quite possibly be toxic, and they could be a form of codependency. Codependency means that's something that you're holding on to that's not necessarily healthy for you. Now, I know this sounds simple to acknowledge, but not simple to do anything about. That's why I'm going to give you an opportunity to go through the e-course at the end that I'm going to share with you, because it's going to help you to evaluate those relationships by answering 5 key questions for yourself. A lot of times we may get in situations and we think that we can continue in a relationship even though we don't feel good about the relationship for whatever reason. Well, these questions and this e-course is going to help you to really evaluate the situation through those questions and say, you know what? I honestly don't believe that this relationship is helping me at all. And if that's the case, if that's what you come up with, then that's okay. It's just a matter of knowing how to deal with it. We've got all kinds of relationships that may not be working for us, and it may be coworkers. We may be in relationships with coworkers for whatever reason. And it may not necessarily be good ones. And we also may have relationships with people in our family that aren't necessarily healthy. When it comes to your peace, it's important to make sure that the relationships that you have that you hold on to are ones that are beneficial for you. Now, there are relationships that are beneficial for both of you, and that's what a true relationship or true friendship is all about. Are you a benefit to the person that you are having a relationship with? Are you helping them? Are you inspiring them? Are you encouraging them? Are you stretching them to the point and challenging them to their doing the best that they can do and being the best that they can be? So it's a two-way street. A lot of the relationships that we have are not doing that. And we want to make sure that we're doing that. So, here are the 5 questions that you want to ask yourself when it comes to anybody that you have a relationship with. Number 1, how do you feel when you think of this person? Number two, what happens to your body when this person calls or you're around them? And number three, how does your relationship with this person affect your mood and how you interact with others? And number four, how often do you regret the decisions you make when you're around this person? And number five, what would you change about this relationship that would maintain your level of peace? Now, let me just kind of help you to put some of your relationships in perspective. There are people in our lives that we are friends with them for a particular reason. We may be friends with someone because we work with them, so that's a coworker. We may be friends with someone because they're part of a business partnership or a business team that we're with. Or you may have friends that have been your friends for years, probably when you were smaller, and you two grew up together, and that's a solid relationship. There are different categories for our relationships. The reason this is so important to identify is because you want to make sure that you're not commingling relationships together, because that can create conflict. Let me give you an example. If you are part of a business team, there is a certain language that you speak. There's a certain culture. That doesn't mean that you don't have friends in other areas, let's say coworkers, but that's a different culture as well, and they speak a different language. Then you have your old friends, the friends that you grew up with, right? These are your ride or die true friendships. You two have a culture and you have a different language that you speak. There's nothing wrong with having different categories of friends. There's nothing wrong with that at all. You just have to make sure you identify which category that you have people in. Your friends may fall into one or two categories. I don't know, they might fall into three. All I'm saying is make sure you're being mindful of the categories that you're placing that relationship in so that you can eliminate conflict and you can continue to have peace in that relationship. Let's say you have looked at the people in your life as you begin to evaluate those relationships with those 5 questions, and you realize that these people or this one particular person that you're thinking about, this is not, you've identified it that it's not necessarily a healthy relationship. How do you know it's not healthy? You know because of the feeling that you have around that person, the way that you feel when that person calls you. Do you hesitate to answer the phone? Do you not answer at all? Do you respond to their text messages? Um, are they always texting you, always calling you because they have a problem? Let me help you to break that down. One of the things that my most recent book that I'm about to publish is helping people to understand the drama triangle. The drama triangle is a dysfunctional model of behavior that was created by Dr. Stephen Cartman back in 1966. It is basically an inverted triangle that has 3 different points on it. And in that triangle, these different points identify the different behaviors from toxic relationships or toxic people. Those positions are the victim, the persecutor, and the rescuer. So oftentimes we may be in a situation where someone pulls us into their drama, right? That's a really important thing to think about when it comes to your relationships, because some of the relationships that we hold on to are toxic. And it's not until we become aware of the behaviors that we can then identify, okay, this is what this person is doing, then we can decide what we're going to do about it. So let me tell you a little bit about these 3 different positions within the drama triangle. Again, this is an inverted triangle. And each point has a behavior. The one that I like to talk about the most is the persecutor. The persecutor is the one that can't see you doing anything right, and they always want to condemn you for things that you do or things that they've done. They want to pull you into their drama by making you feel guilty for something that you said to them or something that you did to them. That's just something automatic they do. Now, who they're talking to is someone on the other end of the point, one of the other points, and that's either a rescuer or a victim. And we all play this drama dance, and we all go into one of these 3 different categories, one of these points. The first one I talked about was the persecutor. The second one is the victim. The victim is the one that always feels sorry that they can't do anything for themselves, and they're always woe is me, and they're looking for somebody to rescue them. That's the third point, the rescuer, because the rescuer then comes in and wants to help that person to feel better or solve their problems. What happens though is you end up getting in the middle of their problem. And then when their problem is not resolved because of something that you said, they then switch over to the persecutor position and they persecute you for rescuing them from being the victim, and they're the victim all over again. So it's a dance that people do. It's this dysfunctional model behavior, but it's important that you know that, which is why I wrote a book about it, because I want you to be able to identify the relationships in your life and whether they're healthy for you or whether they're unhealthy for you, because time is short. We have no idea how much time we have on this earth. But the time we do have, we want to make sure we spend it growing and being the people that we need to be and surrounding ourselves with the people that love us and that are not trying to hinder us in any way. Okay, so you may think, well, that person has been doing that all their lives. That's just who they are. If you want to accept that, that's fine. But a lot of times people are doing it intentionally because they know that you're not going to do anything about it. Yeah, I know this is some powerful stuff, but that's who I am. And I've learned a lot about relationships. And let me tell you what, I grew up in a very codependent environment. And in this environment, I learned to be a people pleaser. As a people pleaser, I was always falling into one point within that drama triangle. And guess what that one was? That was the rescuer. I felt I needed to rescue everybody because everybody would give me their problems. Mainly, I wanted to rescue everybody because nobody ever rescued me when I was going through some childhood traumas. And I knew that I didn't want anybody to feel the pain that I felt. Is this beginning to sound familiar to you? So, what I would do is I would please people. The other part about that is being codependent, growing up from a codependency environment, meaning I would mirror the behavior of anyone else that had felt like they needed something from me. So if they needed rescuing, then I would be there and I would do it for them because I was codependent. I could feel what they were feeling. And also because a rescuer, because I didn't want them to feel the pain. I wanted them to be pleased. Even if that meant I wasn't, I wanted them to be pleased. So those are just a few dynamics that I want you to consider when it comes to your relationships, because some of your relationships are behaviors and tendencies that have been going on for years and you may not even recognize it. But I tell you what, you do recognize. You recognize how it makes you feel. And if you're not feeling good, if you don't feel a sense of peace or a sense of joy after speaking to someone, then that's not a healthy relationship. On the other hand, if you're talking to someone, you're in their presence, even a text message or even on the phone, FaceTime, whatever it is, when you hang up that phone, you feel pretty good about yourself and you feel encouraged to really do the things that you set out to do, and they help you feel better about yourself. That, my friend, is a healthy relationship. So take some time, go through the e-course that I provided to you. I will put the link down below, and evaluate those relationships for the people that are in your life. Again, it doesn't matter what role they play or what category they're in. You want to evaluate whether that relationship is healthy or unhealthy, and then you proceed accordingly. Are these people helping you to do the things that you need to do? Are they encouraging you to do the things you need to do? Let's not look at some excuses, because other people can't stop us from doing what we really want to do, but they can slow us down. They sure can. So you want to at least be able to identify whether these people are helping you or hindering you from moving forward. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe, because I'm sure there's something that someone else, a friend, someone you have a relationship, would be really thankful that you shared this information with them. This is Pamela Baird, your boundaries coach, and let's talk boundaries, shall we?